Hi, welcome to a bonus episode of Lean Blog Interviews. Today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming AME Annual Conference, and we are joined by my friend William Harvey. He is the conference workshop chair this year, and he's going to be the conference chair for 2026, so the overall conference chair. A few highlights here. The AME Annual Conference is being held in St. Louis, October 6th through 9th. You look in the show notes for links to the conference page, the workshop registration page in particular, and you can also find a special discount code that AME is allowing me to share. So hope you'll check that out. Hopefully we'll see you there. William, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. I know today is also a 5-year anniversary of one of your podcasts, Mark. So congratulations on continuing such amazing work.
Well, thank you. 5 years of my favorite mistake. This podcast, Lean Blog Interviews, is in its 20th year. So it'll be the 20th anniversary of that podcast coming up in July. AME conference has been going on for a couple of decades. I've been to it a number of times. I'm excited to attend AME, Association for Manufacturing Excellence. I wanted to hear some of your thoughts overall, William, that the conference is definitely not just for manufacturing anymore, right?
Yeah, and if you go back to the founders, so we're in our 41st anniversary this year for our celebration. A lot of this work and continuous improvement did start in manufacturing, so appropriately named when it started, and even so today. But if you look at it as manufacturing excellence only, I think you'll miss the opportunity to come if you're working in healthcare or another services type of organization. So I would really say it's targeted more towards continuous improvement practitioners and those leading organizations that want to seek organization-wide transformation. So that's the way that I would really frame what AME offers today for attendees.
Yeah, I'm not trying to change the name of the organization, but operational excellence, leadership excellence, there's a lot of other words that we could throw in there. So I hope people, if you're interested in learning some new things and networking with some great people and leaders in this space, please check out the conference website, the keynote speakers, and the different topics that are part of it. Maybe one other question, William, just about the conference in general, the overall theme, appropriate for St. Louis, gateway to the future, AI and beyond. So there's some new frontiers that we're into, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I would share with you that Conference Chair Barry McCarthy has really set up well for the team and the attendees this year. So the intent was to integrate AI into the conversation. And many different types of events have that same approach this year when you look at the themes. What I think is really appreciative from my side is that the conversation is not just AI, it's AI and people integration. So we've got quite a bit of information from practitioner presentations, those out doing the work, consultants that do this work every day and teach organizations like mine to figure out what is our AI strategy, all the way to the networking, where I'm sure there are going to be a lot of conversations this year on how people are using AI to make the work better.
Yeah, as an AI user individually, I'm really curious about what organizations are doing. I have people ask me, and I'm like, I don't know how people are using AI. I'm going to be coming to learn, and the people that are actually exploring that are going to have, I think, a lot of insights. So keynote speakers and all sorts of events, exhibitors and hallway dinner conversations, breakfast conversations. There's a lot to offer at the conference. And one of the things that helps kick off the event is workshops. So maybe we can shift into that. I'm excited to be doing a workshop at AME for the first time. I'm going to be doing a workshop. William
Absolutely.
participated in two versions of that workshop. It's titled here, The Deming Red Bead Game and Process Behavior Chart. So before kind of digging into my workshop a little bit, tell us about the workshops in general. What are some of the themes?
Yeah, so this year, I would really just say 4 tracks and ways to think about the work. And as I've attended the AME conference the last few years, a few things emerged to me. People are trying to solve problems that I would argue were solved with something like training within industry or TWI and some really simple and out-of-the-box solutions ready to go for some folks. So those that would like to learn how to instruct their people better, maintain more effective relations, or just improve through Kaizen or PDCA cycles, think you'll find that track really helpful. And there's a few amazing groups out there to select from. The second thing I would talk about that's very popular in certain circles is how do we coach our folks in organizations? We have an entire track dedicated to exactly that with quite a few well-known speakers. Many have been at AME either on the keynote stage or have done workshops previously. So we've got some experienced folks doing that. Then, of course, we've got AI. You can't leave that out given our conference theme. So you'll see a few options there. And one of the folks that I was interviewing for this, I asked him during the conversation, I said, "Are you a baseball broadcaster?" Because the guy had the voice for radio. And it was just so incredible listening to him talk. So I'm really excited to hang out with that person for the 4 hours he's at the event giving his workshop. And then if I think about the rest of this, I really try to get into manufacturing and process excellence. So you'll see a lot of tools-based approaches, whether you're doing mixed model assembly or you're trying to figure out how do you make systems better. And within that, I think the really cool part, Mark, is being able to see your workshop twice. I now know what to expect for attendees, perhaps better than all the others. But it's one that I would say is near and dear to my heart with Deming's work coming out with variation, going back to Short, dealing with Wheeler most recently from a process behavior chart perspective. So really excited to see this get out into the world. And I'm hopeful one of those major 4 areas helps attendees pick something really good to either spend 4, 6, or 8 hours in a workshop before the conference kicks off.
And there are some familiar names, maybe to listeners of this podcast. For one, Barry McCarthy, the conference chair from Australia, has been a guest here on the podcast, and some other familiar names from the podcast or the blog who are doing workshops. Can't name everybody. There's so many different workshops, but Katie Anderson, Daryl Wilburn, Karen Martin, Elizabeth Swan, just to Cheryl Jekyll, who was recently a guest here. So many, many more, as they say. So William, I'm going to put you on the spot a little, but my workshop, the Red Bead game and process behavior charts, maybe from a voice of the customer perspective, would you share some of your reflections on participating and what some of the key takeaways were for you?
Yeah, so I'll frame this in 3, Mark. First is engagement. So one of the things I really appreciate about the conversation is it's very engaging, very early on. And within that Red Bead experiment, people are getting up, having some fun. And then for me, I got to watch the light bulb moments go off to say, like, we're doing exactly the wrong thing based on what we're trying to achieve. So those hallway conversations to me are really cool because people are starting to see how it applies to their work. The second thing that I would share with listeners is you do a wonderful job taking a very complex subject and breaking it down into something that's easy to interpret for everyone in the room. Mm-hmm. So whether you have a statistics or math background or you're an engineer or not, it seems to land really well with everybody that I've heard attend. I mean, the first time I got attended, it was with a bunch of different folks in healthcare. Mm-hmm. The second time was with all manufacturing folks. So it seemed to land very well on both sides of that. And the third thing that I really appreciated about your facilitation was you didn't have a standard slide deck where you just said, I'm going to go through this and you're going to listen regardless of what you guys are talking about. Mm-hmm. So I saw quite a few times you were adapting to the group, adjusting to the conversation. And I think that preparation really lends itself well to your expertise to say we can go where the group is going and make those 4 hours more meaningful for folks versus it just being a standard, please sit and listen lecture style series.
It's nice to hear. Thank you for that. Try that. That's the style that I'm going for. And having an engaged group, asking questions and sharing experiences makes that a better experience for everybody. And my workshop here is listed as intermediate level. I've taught this workshop where, of course, people that don't know about SPC, they don't know what a process behavior chart is. We can help people get started. I've also had people in the workshop who are Six Sigma Master Black Belts who know all of the math of different types of control charts. But we talk about the applications of process behavior charts, the integration, into lean management, daily management practices, how to use process behavior charts to help evaluate the effectiveness and the impact of our improvement projects. And I'd like to think that there's something for people at all experience levels within that bell curve. If you know nothing about this, if you know a little bit, or if you know a lot. I think a lot of people know about control charts, but they haven't gotten to experience the Deming Red Bead game. And so I really hope people will consider coming in and taking part. So if you have registered for the AME conference, you can go and register and add on a workshop or two. Mine is in the afternoon, so you could pair it up with something in the morning. There are, of course, some day-long workshops. And I think this is new. AME is offering the opportunity, especially if you are in or near St. Louis, you can come and register for, workshop only as a separate registration. But again, I hope if time and budget allows that you would come and participate in the full workshop experience, because there are, company visits and all sorts of opportunities to take advantage of. So, I hope people will come join us. I'm excited about it, and I know you are, William. Is there anything else that you would like to say as we wrap up here?
Yeah, just two things, Mark, and I think this is what really sets AME apart from some of the other experiences I've had. AME, for the majority of the conference, is going to be practitioner to practitioner learning. So you're going to hear people doing this work in the field, doing it every day, living just like many of us on this podcast. And I think that's a very important piece. And then I couldn't get off of this podcast without telling you of the amazing work that our networking chair, Ellen Szyminski, does. Mm-hmm. Ellen has been a volunteer for almost 2 decades at AME. And I shared with her recently that she has my favorite job, which is welcoming everyone. Mm-hmm. So each year, AME brings in 500 to 1,000 people that have never been to the conference. Sometimes those folks show up alone. So Ellen and her group are actually working on that to make sure people are invited into the conversation. And there's something that folks will be able to see called Newbie Night and other events similar for networking. So if you see those, please do engage with Ellen and that group. And of course, you'll see me. I'm generally one of the tallest, if not the tallest people there. So I'm easy to spot. So come grab me and I'll get you connected with anybody at the conference you're interested in meeting, to include Mark Graban. So I know sometimes when we have the speakers, people are less likely to approach. But I would just share with you, Mark's very friendly. All those names you mentioned, from Elizabeth to Katie to Cheryl to Karen, all very open and willing to have conversations. And I'm particularly excited to talk to Cheryl this year because she is working on her doctoral degree and she's been digging deep into some research. So excited to connect with her personally.
Thank you, William. Again, we've been joined by William Harvey. He is the workshops chair this year at the AME International Conference in St. Louis, October 6th through 9th. AME.org is the website. Again, look in the show notes and you'll find links to this year's conference and the workshop pages. Come meet me and the others. Find William, meet him. He's a practitioner, he's a leader, he's a plant manager in a manufacturing company who's leading a lot of these efforts. Please come talk with William. He's a friendly guy too. Even though he's tall, don't be scared off.
Yes. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate joining you for today's event and look forward to celebrating your 20th year anniversary with the Lean Blog podcast here in a couple months.
Well, thank you. Thanks. And thanks for joining us again today.